Out of all the countries in the world that regularly make movies, the Chinese horror movies are the absolute worst. Trust me on this. Welcome back to Shockmania, everybody. I am the Artie Dance. Now, I have something absolutely terrible for you. I love Chinese horror movies, but without a doubt, and there's no doubt about this at all, this is an actual fact, they are the worst horror movies in the world. Out of all the countries in the world that regularly make movies, the Chinese horror movies are the absolute worst. Trust me on this. I am unfortunately an expert in this because I adore these films. Watch hundreds or up to 100 of them I've seen. So I'm going to show you a trailer for something that might initially look like it's really good, but it's not going to be. So let's watch the trailer first, and then I'll explain to you why it's not going to be good. I've also added subtitles to this, so you can follow along. So this movie is called Room 6 at Midnight, and there's a bit of a story behind this one as well.
从那个玩偶说起吧，到底发生了什么恐怖的事情？
你既然害怕，为什么还要一直带在身边呢？
Here we go.
谁？根本就不像是姐弟两个发生的故事。
Is it Room 6 or Room 9? It's Room 6 at midnight. Now, luckily, this movie didn't actually have a lot of the tropes that Chinese horror movie trailers do, with the screeching cats, really bad cackling, and crows squawking in the background. But you might have watched that and thought, well, hey, that doesn't look half bad. I'm going to tell you why it's bad, even though it's not out yet. And it does come out tomorrow. Apparently, it comes out in the theaters, but I don't quite believe that this will be a theatrical release. The reason why it's going to be bad is because Chinese horror movies can only end one of about 3 or 4 ways, right? They're either a dream, the character is suffering a mental illness, the character will be hallucinating or on drugs, or it's just someone in a mask scaring them. Excuse me. We've seen it with a lot of Chinese horror movies that they have one of those 4 endings. Even the good ones, like the Bunshin Saba movies, have one of those endings. This one, clearly from that angle, looks like it's a mental illness issue. You can see that the lady's gone a bit crazy, so they're going to go down the whole mental illness angle. Might be part of a psychiatric therapy session or something like that. But if you're looking for an Amityville style, this thing's full of spirits and ghosts or something like that, Exorcist style, real demons and devils, you're not going to get it at all from mainland China. Now, what's interesting about this film is it says it's based on a real-life haunting in a hotel in Malaysia, which is automatically weird why the Chinese would bother with going to Malaysia. But they kind of tend to do that because easier to film stuff in Malaysia when it comes to horror films. And there's been a few Chinese horror movies in the past that have been filmed in Malaysia. This one is based on another Chinese horror movie that came out called Haunted Hotel back in 2018. That was part of the Haunted Road series for some reason. This movie looks like maybe a remake or an adaptation of that film called Haunted Hotel from 2018. It's actually not a bad film. It's about this Chinese couple that checks into this hotel that's completely abandoned. Now, you're not going to know who the cast are. And so I'm probably not even going to bother to go through who the cast and who the director are. They don't mean anything else. Well, they don't even mean anything in China, the cast. It's just very low level kind of cast. But you're not going to know who they are. And so apologies in advance. We're not going to go through that. We'll go through the synopsis though. The synopsis is interesting. Now, this is where I'm going to admit that I needed to use Bing AI to help me with the synopsis because translation was a bit weird. when I say translation was a bit weird, with a normal translation was just a bit odd. So Bing AI has come to the rescue and actually turned the synopsis of the film into something that makes sense. So here it is. Chen Wei and Xu Min, guided by security personnel, arrived at a mysterious and eerie mental hospital. And if I've got to paste this translation to you, they've put that in bold. Shh, phone. To interview Ren Jing and Ren Chen, who had suffered from a debilitating illness. As Ren Chen and Ren Jing recalled the bizarre events that occurred in the desolate mansion that night. Now, I'm assuming Ren Jing and Ren Chen are the main character, the girl that you see and the boy. Their identities came under scrutiny. Now, I think we see from the trailer there's some kind of incest angle here. They encountered a series of events, including an attack by a bloody-faced figure, which made the truth increasingly ambiguous. Hilariously, Bing has just said to me, this plot seems intriguing. If you'd like to know more about this, I recommend exploring further, which is hilarious. Thank you, Bing AI, for thinking that this movie could be any good. I would love to tell you that it's not going to be. But you've watched the trailer now, and you can see in the bottom of the screen, there's a little bug that says thumbs up if you want to see it, thumbs down if you don't want to see it. Now, I will admit that trailer is not bad. There is a bit of crafting going on to that trailer that does make it look like a appealing film. But one thing I can guarantee you is that it is terrible. And we will look at more Chinese horror. I have to use horror in talking marks because they are not horror movies. We will look at more Chinese horror movies in the future. This is just the first of many that we will look at, but it is terrible. Now, before we sign off, I don't want to get confused with Chinese monster movies. The shark movies, the crocodile movies, the snake movies. I don't class them as horror films. I class them as creature features or monster films, and they are fantastic. They are really, really fun to watch. But the horror movies, definitely not. So that was Room 6 at Midnight, based on a real location in Malaysia and a remake of a previous movie from 2018. What do you think of it? Are you interested in seeing it? It's going to be extremely hard to find this movie outside of China. So if you are interested in it, perhaps one of those streaming channels on YouTube, like Youku or iQIYI channels that are here, may get the rights to the film and pop it up on YouTube, which means it may come for free sometime later in the year. Can't guarantee that though. But if you are interested in watching it, tell me what you think. Leave a comment below. Press like, dislike if you want to see it, don't want to see it. Otherwise, I'm the Artie Dans, the strange connoisseur of Chinese horror films. You are watching Shockmania, and I will catch you next time.